What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. Broadcast live on YouTube, X, Roku TV, and Fire Stick. I'm your host, Andrew Romanello. The Philadelphia Eagles are the Super Bowl champions for the second time in 7 years, led by MVP Jalen Hurts. Congratulations to the Eagles and the Eagles fan. I know that there are a lot of New York Giants fans in my life that are not too happy today, but nonetheless, we got to discuss the dominating performance from the Eagles last night in Super Bowl 59. Andrew Romanella here. We got you for the next 30 and change. We want to get your opinions on everything, your thoughts on the game, your thoughts on the Chiefs, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts MVP, the Eagles winning overall, anything you're feeling after the NFL season has officially concluded. We want to hear your thoughts. The Rome Show on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, all the social medias, 12OZ Sports, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, all the social medias. Comment live and let us know your thoughts. We want to get right into this contest because there's so many facets of this game that we want to break down today. Plus, at some point in time, we have to give you our top plays of the weekend. So we're going to go through this contest. We are going to talk Jalen Hurts MVP, and then we are going to get you locked and loaded on the top highlights of the weekend. And don't just believe that we are only doing football today, ladies and gentlemen. We actually have some National Hockey League highlights for you as well in the top plays to get you excited for a Hockey with Rocky on Tuesday. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves here because it's only been 12 hours since the Philadelphia Eagles took down the two-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs by the score of 40-22. And I truly do believe that the score at the end of the game, though an 18-point victory, still is actually not the depiction of the way this game went. I want to start this thing off by saying, if you're going to blame the officials, okay, and say the officials are the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs were so good all year, or the Kansas City Chiefs wouldn't have been 15-2 if they didn't get all of these ridiculous calls, or if the refs weren't on their side, X, Y, and Z. Well, I'm here to tell you that the officials, though terrible, last night in Super Bowl 59 had absolutely zero impact on the outcome of this game. They had impact on being bad and making terrible calls on both sides, okay, of the fence, starting with the pass interference offensively that was called against A.J. Brown on the first drive of the game, then rolling into the personal foul call that was called on the Chiefs later on in the first quarter, and then spiraling downhill from there. But there's not one person, I don't believe at least, that could be sitting at home on their couch today saying that the officials were the reason for or for not a Super Bowl victory. And I think that's the most important storyline to come out of the Super Bowl. And it could have been bad. When A.J. Brown gets called for that offensive pass interference in the first quarter, it could have been bad. Okay? Because that was like every person in America ready with their Twitter fingers. Oh, the script has already started. Oh, here we go. The officials and the Kansas City Chiefs, they're getting it on right now. And luckily, that was not the storyline. The storyline, however, was very boring Super Bowl. And I think that's just a fact. Okay? And sometimes winning is boring for the common fan. Not everybody was tuning into that game just to watch the Philadelphia Eagles victory, no matter the victory. Majority, if not all, people are watching the Super Bowl for the fanfare. They're watching it for the commercials. They're watching it for the halftime show. They're watching it for the Taylor Swift storylines. They're watching it for all the stars that come out. I would love to know the percentage of people that are watching the Super Bowl for the football. But if you are, and you're going to dedicate your time to this thing, on a Sunday night, you're going to want to go to a party. You're going to be invested in the game. You're going to put bananas down. So many things, right? Nearly $1.4 billion put down in the banana realm of the Super Bowl to watch an onslaught where there were 27 points scored by the Philadelphia Eagles before the Kansas City Chiefs had a response. Last thing I thought I'd ever see. At one point in time in this football game, the Eagles' defense was so good, they held the Kansas City offense to 38 total yards through essentially 40 minutes of football. The Kansas City Chiefs, arguably the greatest franchise we've seen over the course of a 7-year span, okay, since 2018, was held to 0 points in the first half of this football game. The Kansas City Chiefs gave up 27 unanswered points, gave up 72 rushing yards to a quarterback, and they haven't given up an over 100-yard singular rusher in gosh knows how many games, but they gave up 135 yards and a touchdown on the ground yesterday. Jalen Hurts, outside of one throw, played the game of his life. Jalen Hurts, outside of one singular play, has proven, I think, to the football watching population, to the talking heads population, that Jalen Hurts is an elite level quarterback in this league. And you sit here and you think about this quarterback debate that we have all the time. Who's good enough? Who's going to take your team to a Super Bowl? Is anybody thinking about that intangible? That Jalen Hurts has now become one of 3 people in the history of the National Football League, okay, to win a national championship, to win a Super Bowl championship, and that is a list that includes Joe Montana and Joe Namath, okay? College championship, professional championship, and Jalen Hurts, if we all remember, as we love to do, was benched by Tua Tagovailoa in the national championship game before he had to transfer from Alabama to Oklahoma to finish his college career and to get to where he is today. And then what Jalen Hurts do? In his second Super Bowl, in his 5-year career, Jalen Hurts goes out and wins the Super Bowl MVP. And rightfully so. 222 passing yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, 72 rushing yards, 1 TD on the ground, 293 total yards amassed for by Jalen Hurts, and a well-deserving most valuable player for the kid. And hopefully, Jalen Hurts is able to put to bed the critics that say that he is not a good enough quarterback in the National Football League, because all I've seen in my time of watching Jalen Hurts in the National Football League is he is good enough. He has that intangible. He can lead a group of men. He can make the right play. He can make the throw as demonstrated. Hurts does the rest. You don't make those throws in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, if you're not the biggest dude. Okay? And I said this to my team. We're breaking down the Super Bowl on Saturday. We were in the middle of stretch, and one of my players like, Roma, I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes. And I was like, okay, I hear you. And I don't think anyone can look you in the eyes and say you should bet against Patrick Mahomes. But here's what I'm going to tell you, okay? One, I believe in Jalen Hurts, okay? When you have that ice in your vein, that winning mentality, that generally that guy finds a way to win, it's really hard for me to bet against you, as in Jalen Hurts. The other thing I said, and I think this has reigned true, I believe Jalen Hurts can make the throw. I believe that Jalen Hurts, when put in the position to have to make the throw, can make the throw. I believe that any throw on the field Jalen Hurts can make, but I also believe that his legs, coupled with Saquon Barkley's legs, are so beneficial to this team offensively that you lead with the run and you complement with the pass. Hence what they did in the Super Bowl last night. 45 rushing attempts on the ground, 17 pass attempts through the air. And to complete that statement, okay, not many teams can remove the best running back, possibly of his generation, at least the best running back in the league this year. Not many teams can remove the best running back in the league and also arguably have the best wide receivers in the game as well in A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. There are weapons everywhere on this Philadelphia Eagles offense. And so my point on Saturday was, regardless of what you think about Jalen Hurts as a quote-unquote running quarterback, okay, you can't deny the fact that he's got one of the better receiving cores in the league. So if you believe he can make the throw, whatever the throw is to you, how can you not believe he can't do it with this unit? Because he's got some of the best in the league. Remove Saquon, you got Devonta. You move for Devonta, you got A.J. Brown. Heck, you remove all three of those, you got Dallas Goedert. So as long as Jalen can have proved he can make the throw, which he has, Jalen Hurts, a QB that can be tops in this league, most valuable player, lead his team to a Super Bowl, bam. He does all of that last night. And then you just also, in that same argument, cannot deny that he could also be 1B running back on your team. You would argue you're going to go Saquon, Jalen Hurts, then Kenneth Gainwell in terms of running the rock for the Philadelphia Eagles. How many times could you shut down the best running back in the league who ran the ball for 25 carries, 57 yards? How often do you see that happen? You shut down the best running back in the league and he doesn't really have a factor. That's okay, because we got Jalen who can rush the rock 11 times for 72 yards and a TD and make good decisions and slide and not get crushed. All of the things you're looking for from a mobile quarterback, he does that. Okay? And so, yeah, he throws a bad interception. That's football. Okay? But that is not the definition of this story. And I would argue the definition or the conversation around this Super Bowl is somewhat less about Saquon Barkley and so much more about Jalen Hurts. Because I think we've all believed since Saquon's been in the league that he can be a running back that takes a team to a Super Bowl with the pieces around him. If he's got a good offensive line, he's running you to the postseason. I think we all have believed that. But generally, having a good offensive line and being an elite running back doesn't hand you the Lombardi Trophy. Your quarterback has to make plays. Has to make plays. So you always needed Jalen and Saquon. You always needed it to be that two-headed monster. And in the brightest, most important moments, Jalen Hurts showed up and showed out. And was very well deserving of the most valuable player. But just because Jalen was the most valuable player does not mean Saquon Barkley didn't do some things that were historic. And not only won himself a Super Bowl in his first season with the Philadelphia Eagles, shut the door on the conversation of whether or not he is a top 5 running back of all time. Saquon Barkley, with his 50-some rushing yards last night, became the single season, including regular season and postseason, rushing leader all time with 2,504 yards, passing Terrell Davis. So that's an awesome feat for Saquon Barkley. So he didn't get Dickerson's record in the regular season as the most rushing yards in a regular season, but in terms of postseason and regular season combined, okay, Saquon Barkley, greatest rusher of all time. We mentioned the Eagles defense before. The Eagles defense, okay, the Eagles defense alongside their defensive line, truthfully, were the difference maker in this contest. 6 total sacks for the defense of the Philly Eagles last night, led by Josh Sweat, who had 2.5 of them, and then Milton Williams, who had 2, and a strip sack that looked something like this. 37-6. It was a real chance there for the Kansas City Chiefs to come back, but Milton Williams might have absolutely iced the deal right there. And that's what it looked like all game. Eagles defensive line versus KC's offensive line. In the 2 Super Bowls I've watched the Kansas City Chiefs lose, their offensive line has been atrocious. And that is the place that I think that Chiefs need to start at the end of this season. What happened? What went wrong there? How do we win so many one-score games? How do we play such good football? How do we go 15-2 and then get to the Super Bowl and get slaughtered by essentially 40 points? Okay, how does that happen? And it starts in the trenches. We mentioned this in our prep last week, getting you ready for the Super Bowl. We could talk about all these other matchups, but the bottom line is the Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in the league, which is why they have the best rushing attack in the league. How could the Kansas City Chiefs defensive line how could one of the best offensive lines in the league, okay? How could the Kansas City Chiefs handle the rush game first, which they did a really good job of because the battle's in the trenches. But on the flip side, the Kansas City offensive line could do nothing to one of the league's best defensive lines, best linebacker cores. So you had the trenches on both sides muffled up for the Kansas City Chiefs. They couldn't get to Jalen Hurts, or when they did, he used his legs to get out of it, okay? Shut down Saquon Barkley, but that was only one piece of the offense. And then they could not, for the life of them, keep Patrick Mahomes upright. And the battle of down low in the trenches, both sides of the ball, as we've spoke about in the last 5 days getting ready for this game, came through and into fruition on both sides of the ball. Could not hold the Eagles' defensive line from touching Patrick Mahomes. And though they did a phenomenal job on Saquon, they were so singularly focused on Saquon, they could not stop anything else on the Philadelphia Eagles offense. And now there's a lot of question marks in Kansas City. A lot of question marks in Kansas City. And there also is most likely a head coach in Philadelphia staying in New Orleans after a Super Bowl victory. So we're going to come back after this commercial break. We'll talk to you a little bit about what the Chiefs maybe need to do this coming offseason. And then, of course, we have our top plays from the weekend. It's the Rome Show on a Monday, February 10th. Super Bowl post breakdown here. Stay with us. Andrew Romanella back after this.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
What's up? It's the Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube, X, Roku TV, Fire Stick. So many ways to get the show. That's right. And get them wherever you get the show. Social media, The Rome Show 1, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, 12OZ Sports, all the social sites. We're talking Super Bowl 59. We are talking Eagles routing of the Kansas City Chiefs. We've been talking a lot about the Eagles side of things here on this Monday edition of the Rome Show. But let's talk a little bit about the flip side, the Kansas City Chiefs. That arguably could have been the worst game I've ever watched the Chiefs in the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes era play. All right. And Tom Brady said something on the broadcast that's really stuck with me since last night. And I feel like it is the place that the Chiefs must start when it comes down to this offseason. And can you sustain this? Okay. Because it's always fun to think about the first 7 years, what it's been like, the amount of Super Bowls you've gone to, 5 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowl victories, including 2 in a row for the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce contingent. Okay, but what's next? What's next? Because Travis Kelce was almost not even existent last night in that contest, finishing the game at 4 catches, 439 yards. Travis Kelce, for half of this year, was almost non-existent. They don't really have a running back. Isaiah Pacheco coming off of major injury. They had to sign Kareem Hunt off of nobody's squad at one point this year. Who is their receiving core outside of Xavier Worthy? And what's going on with this offensive line? There are so many questions to answer in Kansas City. You almost wonder if you're about to look at the last 4 years of Bill Belichick's tenure in New England. And I don't say that to taint anything that the Chiefs have done. I don't say that to be extreme, hot take guy. I don't do any of that. Okay, what I'm saying is what I witnessed last night was the Eagles dismantling of an entire organization that might have been duct taping together the back end of this dynasty run. That, for lack of better words, never actually had the pieces to get to this point, but had players and coaches that were good enough to make up for the deficiencies on the team to get to this point. Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, Patrick Mahomes, even Kelce the last 5-6 weeks of the season, Xavier Worthy, Kareem Hunt, the defense in general, Chris Jones, Karflakis. Like, they've had people step up all year to get them to where they got to. You don't get to the Super Bowl by being a bad team, but you can get to the Super Bowl by being a slight facade as long as things rolled your way. And when things don't roll your way, it's clear and obvious that you were not a good enough team to be in this moment. And the Chiefs might be good enough at winning to get to the Super Bowl, but from a talent standpoint, they might not be good enough. They might not be good enough. to continue this dynasty thing. A lot of changes are going to have to come in KC. And I think the first one starts with, what's the next 5 years look like for Andy Reid, for Travis Kelce? And I'm not saying you push Andy Reid out the door. Absolutely not. I think he's the greatest coach of all time. I'm just saying it's an honest question you have to ask. Everyone gets older. Dynasties end. And last night, it looked like the Philadelphia Eagles put an end to the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty. Big offseason in Kansas City to see if they can keep themselves trending in the direction of the best team in the National Football League. We are going to trend towards our favorite segment on a Monday. That is the top plays of the weekend. I promise you some top plays. I have 4 of them for the people, starting with something we've already seen, but is very well deserving of being on the list. Your numero cuatro. That was and his play on the strip sack for the Philadelphia Eagles. But prior to that happening, Jalen Hurts said to Devonta Smith, hey, I heard a rumor that no Alabama wide receivers or players have ever scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. So your number 3 play of the weekend is Jalen Hurts to Devonta Smith. Yes, he can make the throws, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll finish Tom Brady's thought. Woo! One of the most unselfish players in the league. Jalen Hurts to Devonta Smith, number 2. But number 3, excuse me. I got to remind the people that the end of football season generally means one thing. It's the start of baseball season. But every Tuesday, I'm quickly reminded that we still have to get to arguably the best postseason in all of sports, and that is the National Hockey League. Well, one of the best players in the league, Maximus Celebrini, okay, he plays for the San Jose Sharks. And yesterday, the Sharks had one of the greatest tic-tac-toe goals I have ever seen. Here's your number 2. Finally, play of the weekend.
Got a piece of that. Wallman keeps it alive. Eklund on the wing. Celebrini scores! Celebrini, but Armia got a piece of
one.
Off the flank,
2,
and then he's
3,
already, before that puck even got to him, he knew it was going to Eklund, and what a pass by Tyler Toffoli.
That right there is beautiful ice hockey, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope that gets you excited for the return of Hockey with Rocky tomorrow on the Rome Show, 7:10 Eastern Standard Time. Number 1, yeah, that's right, your number 1 play of the weekend, Cooper DeJean, pick 6. Oh yeah, number 1.
Uno.
Huge impact, and on that drive, the Philadelphia Eagles sacked Patrick Mahomes twice and returned a ball back for a pick 6. Those are your top plays of the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. And I thought I would just give you a quick rundown on my bananas from the Super Bowl as we got out of here today on Monday. It's time to finish the Rome Show.
Ba 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 na na ba 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 na na.
All right. So I have decided, okay, that because we picked 9 different props or lines for the Super Bowl, I'm going to read you how I did, and then we are going to take a night off from our bananas on this Monday. We will return on Tuesday with Rocky Romanella, and we will break down ice hockey as we do every Tuesday. But over the weekend, yes, we are going to give ourselves a round of applause because I went 7-2 in my picks for the Super Bowl. Let's run through them really quickly. First and foremost, I had tails as the coin toss. I had the anthem over 1 minute and 30.5 seconds. It was way over. I had it at 2:06. My mom had it at 2:02. At the end of the day, it was over 2 minutes. I was wrong on Kendrick Lamar's first song. I had all the stars. It was not that. I was right on there being no missed field goals. Thank you, Jake Elliott, for being elite. I picked the Eagles to win. I picked the Eagles to win by the 1 or the 1.5. I took the over at 48.5. We nailed that. I chose Saquon as the MVP. We did not get that right, but arguably my favorite and my most proud pick of the night was the Gatorade color being yellow. Yeah, I did that. That's right. Strict research figuring out that Gatorade's been the least dumped color in Super Bowl since 2000. Only the third time yesterday Gatorade was dumped on a winning coach. 7-2 day on the Super Bowl for Andrew. A much-deserved bananas night off for the dude and a much-needed return for the Rome Show after a weekend off. Hope you enjoyed our Super Bowl 59 coverage. So much to do, though. Football season doesn't end when football season ends. It just starts the football off-season season, which is how many mock drafts can we make and figure out which team needs what and which team needs to do what. Baseball, 1 week away. Pitchers and catchers. National Hockey League, NBA playoffs right around the corner. 4 Nations Cup. So much to do. So if you think you're stopping listening to the Rome Show every day at 7 a.m., you are crazy. Tune in. 12ouncesports.com, YouTube, X, Roku TV, and Fire Stick. Andrew Romanella telling you to have an electric day. And I will see you tomorrow. Peace.
Thank you for listening.